Salutations readers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today I'm giving y'all the end of the year book tag. This book tag was created by Ariel from Ariel Bassett. The original video is still up, so I will link the original video down below. We're definitely getting very, very close to the end of the year. I mean, for some people it already is the end of the year, and for others it's like, we have a little bit more time. I'm in the camp of we have a little bit more time until really we're truly in the end of the year. I consider the end of the year to be around November, December. So I think this is a perfect time to actually film and actually start talking about, hey, what are some things I want to keep in mind of for the end of this year? Since, well, 2025 is coming up pretty soon. So yeah, that's where we're at. Also, I hope y'all like this little headband thing I have on here. I actually completely forgot I even had this until I was just looking through my drawers, and then I found this headband. So, I don't know, kind of rocking it. Also rocking in some Jan Agaton merch as well. Kinsley plans to read and edit. So, yes. Anyways, without further ado, let's actually get into the questions. Question number 1. Are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? Well, there are definitely several books that I did softy enough that I really wish I could get to this year, but most of them I won't be able to, but the few that I hope so, that I think I could finish this year, one of them was There There by Tommy Orange. I don't remember when I put this book down, but it was like months ago now, maybe in the spring, and I still actually have the bookmark in the book, so I do have every intention of coming back into this book. I think at the time I just wasn't in the mood for it. And also I had the audiobook for my library and it was due pretty soon. So it was one of those situations. But I do want to get back into this book because I really enjoyed Tommy Orange's writing. And I was very intrigued to follow these multitude of characters within this one community. And I think Oakland, I don't remember where it was. Is this Oakland, California? So granted, I would need to reread the bit that I left off since it's been so long. So we want to get back into There. And this last one here is a little bit more of a gamble because I do have to wait for the library for this one. But I did borrow it physically from my library and I am on hold for the audiobook. And that is A Crane Among Wolves by June Her. I've read The Red Palace by this author like 2 years ago and I loved it. So I do want to get back into her newest release. And it was an anticipated release for myself. I highly anticipated one too. And I do remember enjoying the audiobook for The Red Palace. So I think the audiobook for A Crane Among Wolves hopefully should be, I'm hoping that it'll be on par as far as like narration and style and all that stuff and production like The Red Palace. So yeah, I'm very much excited though to get back into June Her's writing. All right, question number 2. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Well, I do have 2 books actually, and both of them I've been grateful to have thanks to publishers. So first up is Immortal Dark by Tigis Gurma. I do have the advanced listening copy from Hachette Audio. I did purchase a physical copy for myself though, but I do have an advanced listening copy. And this one is very much young adult fantasy, first book in the trilogy, debut novel as well. But it's also giving very much vampires, dark academia. Like that's pretty much what I think of like autumnal read. So I think this is a perfect book to really for this interesting transition from like autumn to really early winter. And then I also have Odd Spirits by S.T. Gibson. This is the prequel novella to Evocation. It's actually being re-released and rewritten so that it can fit into the series. This pretty much is another urban fantasy romance. We still have like the marriage between Moira and Reese focused here. We do have a little bit of David, but it's mostly between Moira and Reese. And it's pretty much like I think so sort of like a spirit haunting their home or something. So very much giving autumnal vibes right here. And also the cover is very much very, very pretty. Okay, question number 3. Is there a new release that you're still waiting for? Well, there are a few. There's not a lot, honestly, for this late into the year. And that's mostly because I don't really know of a lot of books that come out in like November, December that I'm even interested in. But I do have a few. One of them is Private Rights by Julia Armfield. This one comes out December 3rd. And I am looking forward to this one a lot more now than when I did post my anticipated releases for the second half of the year. Because I finally have read Our Wives Under the Sea, and I really did like Julia Armfield's writing. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this retelling of King Lear. Also, Heavenly Tyrant by Jiren J. Zhao comes out December 24th. Sequel to Iron Widow. I do need to reread Iron Widow, though, in order to even read this one, because it's been so long since I've even read Iron Widow, so I need to reread it, and then I'll get to Heavenly Tyrant. Now, this third book here is more like a tentative I'm excited about, but I am curious, though, especially when I'm hearing other people talk about it, though, is The Lotus Empire by Tasha Suri. I did softy enough the Jasmine Throne, but I still own copies of the Jasmine Throne and the Oleander Sword. So, The Lotus Empire. I really want to hear from fans of this trilogy, the Burning Kingdoms trilogy, as far as how this book lands. Like, does it land well? Because if it doesn't land well, I'm gonna just not even bother with this series, okay? But if it lands really good, like if I'm seeing a lot of good buzz about this book, and like a lot of people are satisfied with this ending, I will go back to the Jasmine Throne and continue on with the series, because I am very curious about this series. I did like Tasha Suri's writing in the Jasmine Throne, so I do want to get back into this world. I just want to make sure that the series is worth it. So, tentative, but I am looking forward to it, and it comes out November 12th, so this should be some good amount of time to get some ideas of what people think about it, at least. Alright, question number 4. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Well, I mean, there's plenty of books I really want to read by the end of the year. Not just from my physical TBR, but really mostly arcs. Like, ideally, for November, December, I really want to, like, hammer down on my arcs. But I'm not going to talk about all the arcs that I plan to finish by the end of the year, because we're really talking about 3 books. And besides arcs and those obligation reads, I do have 3 books that I have physically on my TBR that I'm like, okay, I really actually need to read these books. I'm shocked that it's taking me this long to even read these books. Like, what's going on? Like, for example, first up, Rebel Sisters by Tochi Onyobuchi. Y'all, I read War Girls since in January. I'm recording this in October. Like, it's been so long since I've read the first book, and I have yet to even start the second book. I've had the second book for a while now. Like, what's going on? So I need to actually read this sequel so that I can finish this duology. That's another thing, too. It's the second book in a series, and it's a final book, too. It's a duology. Why have I not read the sequel yet? I don't know. This book, same problem, Redemptor by Jordan Fueko. I read the first book, Raybearer, in April, and it's also been months. It's been about over half a year now since I've read that book. And now I'm like, okay, well, we need to get to book 2. Also, I have the fantasy romance book, the standalone, The Maid and the Crocodile as well. Set in the same world, but different characters, but like still. I've heard that a character from The Maid and the Crocodile was originally introduced in this sequel, so I'm like, okay, well, I'm curious. I want to read Redemptor before I even read The Maid and the Crocodile. Don't have to, but I want to. So I need to just read it, especially since how much I loved Raybearer. I'm actually surprised that I did not even start reading the sequel right away. I don't know what happened. I don't really know, so I need to fix that. Another thing, too, this is a reread. Jade War by Fonda Lee. I reread Jade City for the Terror Readathon back in July, and it's been months, and I was like, oh yeah, and now that I'm done with Jade City, let's get to Jade War. I have not even started my reread of Jade War. I do have my tabs. My tabs are completely set and ready so that I can start my reread and annotation of Jade War, but yeah, I have not even started doing this reread at all. So I'm hoping, since that I don't really have any readathons or anything with like a hard set TBR besides my arcs, I can actually get back into rereading this sequel. So pretty much as far as this question, the 3 books that I really, really, really need to read by the end of the year are all second books in series. These 2 are like the conclusions. This one's just the second book strictly, but like these are all second book in a series. So yeah, I need to like hurry up so that I can actually, complete series and get further into a reread of a series that I plan to do this year. So, yeah, I have a lot of work to do, but ideally, these books. All right, question number 5. Is there a book that you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Well, I hope so, because as far as, like, number 1 book of 2024 for me, there's a couple books in the contender, but I don't have a clear winner right now for this year, which is very shocking because 2022 and 2023, clear winners. 2024, it's not very clear. So I do hope I can actually find a book that's actually a clear favorite of the year. I just have favorites, but not an ultimate favorite, So hopefully maybe these books could fulfill that a whole. First up, I do have January's by Olivia Blake. I do have an advanced listening copy thanks to Macmillan Audio. I have not started it. And as I'm recording, it actually came out today. So, best if I start it sooner than later, right? And this is a short story collection. I think some of it has been it's just re-released short stories that's already been published. And then the other parts are just completely original, not published at all short stories. I also have heard, as far as the audiobook narration as well, that there are multiple narrators. And I think Olivia Blake also narrates as well. So I mean, I'm very curious about this one. And I think this could be a favorite book of the year because honestly, I've been up and down with Olivia Blake with regarding her works, but for the most part, I always still end up giving her another chance. Even if something doesn't work out with me with her, I just find another book by hers that I actually end up really loving. And especially with Alone Through the Ether, that book surprised me on how much I even enjoyed it. So I'm hoping that January's could really work for me. We shall see. I also do have an e-arc, though, of Blood Over Brighthaven by Amal Wong. I have not read The Sword of Kaigen yet. I do have it physically. But with Blood Over Brighthaven, I have heard that it's very much, like if you're a fan of Babel, then you will really enjoy this book, especially if you maybe the writing and the theming of Blood Over Brighthaven might be better than Babel. And I'm like, well, Babel was a 2022 favorite of the number one favorite of 2022. So if it's better than Babel, then like the chances are very high that it could be favorite book of this year. And then lastly, though, this is actually a book that I pre-ordered, and it actually officially came out today as I'm recording. And this is In the Sky Bled by S. Hattie. This is actually a book that's been published by, like, Bindery Books, actually, one of their imprints. So I am actually very, very curious to even try this book out since, well, Bindery's a new thing, and their books are new, and especially with this book, too, like, this is written also by a debut author. And that's another thing, too, is that I think that a debut author could really, really work for me because I have been reading more books by debut authors this year. Some of them have not been great, but I found a lot of really, really good ones. And I think this one could actually be a favorite of the year because this is like a fantasy book. It's climate fantasy specifically. We're following 3 different characters trying to find this one power so that they can, I guess, help their city that has been undergoing through a lot of strife. So I'm very, very curious to see if, like, how I'm going to think about this book, but I also feel like it could really be a contender of number one book of the year, especially if it has really good writing, good characters, follows through with this concept. I just hope a lot for the best for this book. And the 6th and final question, have you already started making reading plans for next year? Yes, I actually have. I've really been thinking about 2025, my reading goals, books I want to read, the kind of content I even want to make for next year. I've been thinking about it since like early September. Like, I don't know, every single time September 1st hits, I'm already thinking about the next year. So yes, I've already been thinking about my plans. I'm thinking about series that I want to read, my goals, planning out. Oh, also I am planning out my self-destruct TBR for next year. Just wait, though, on the 2024 progress, because we got to do an update on that. But yes, I am definitely thinking about 2025. Anyways, that is it, y'all. That is the end of this tag. Thank you, Ariel Bissett, for creating this tag. This is a very nice tag, actually, when it comes to just thinking about early planning of, like, the end of this year, but also early next year. And yeah, and then as far as for y'all, you know, like this video if you like it, comment down below. And if your responses to any of these questions, especially like the new releases that you're anticipating for the rest of this year, you know, I'm very, very curious, actually. And then any books that you plan on, that you hoped to read, whether you plan on or maybe you're just hoping for to read by the end of the year, I'm also curious to know about your thoughts on that. Anyways, if you made it this far into the video and you don't have much else to say, but you want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here. Okay, I have an idea. You can leave me a feather emoji for there, or you can leave me a lemon emoji for as long as the lemon trees grow. Anyways, thank you all for coming on to this video. I hope you like what you see, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye.